You've already indicated that there's multiple agencies there supporting the Cobb County Sheriff's Department or the Cobb County Sheriff's Office. Who's out there right now? I see Cobb County's there as well, but Fulton County and other agencies, right?
That's right, Ron. When Marietta Police, as out of a courtesy, came to us here and just kind of updated us, they said it's easier to tell you who's not here than it is who is here. He said there are many chiefs and sheriffs themselves on the scene assisting the Cobb County Sheriff and just making sure this is resolved peacefully. And just kind of reset where we're at here in Marietta. What we know is this is happening on Fenwick Drive. Sometime around 7 o'clock tonight, the Cobb County Sheriff's Office, the Cobb County Police, we don't even know yet which agency was specifically serving that warrant, but obviously Cobb County was here on scene. At some point during this serving of a warrant, suspect inside, a gentleman, opened fire, somehow taking out 2 deputies. So from what we've seen on the scene, we saw that escort. Jennifer and Ron showed that video. 1 deputy died here on the scene. The 2nd deputy was rushed from this scene to the nearby trauma center where that deputy died in the ER. And we mentioned this a minute ago. I mean, these deputies come in, they are loaded, they have vests, they know that anything could go south at any point. So we don't know yet what unfolded on this property on Fenwick Drive, but we do know now multiple SWAT teams are on scene, and we can tell you that it is a fluid situation. We do know from neighbors they're on the PA system trying to get this gentleman to come out. And this thing could last hours because already 2 deputies have been shot. They're not going to just rush into this and risk any other lives taken. And I can tell you there are still sheriff deputies showing up. There are still other unmarked vehicles showing up. There are deputies staged here at Irwin Road, which you're likely seeing in the shot right now, kind of on standby. We do know EMS is here. And here's the Georgia State Patrol. That's the first GSP officer I have seen show up right now. And of course the GBI will be here, but oftentimes they're in unmarked vehicles, so we won't be able to see them, but we do know they will be on site as well. And I mentioned EMS, you know, a lot of these SWAT teams have their own EMS officers on the SWAT team. So when they do move in, if something does go south, they can immediately get to work on an officer or a suspect. So it makes you wonder, was this just maybe a low risk warrant where they showed up just with, as sometimes happens, 5 or 6 deputies show up, they go, they're going to serve this warrant, and then maybe they got ambushed. We don't know, but obviously something went wrong on this, because it's not often you hear of something like this to this caliber happen anywhere really in the country, that 2 deputies are taken down on a warrant call. So Ron, again, you've been through this training, you know for a fact that you mentioned it, and I just want to keep harping on that, because whatever escalated here, it happened quickly to be able to catch these deputies like it did, wearing that vest, and of course also are armed as well. And unclear if the suspect's been shot or if shots were returned during that shooting.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact here, Cody, that there's a neighbor down the street who says that he heard or she heard someone on a bullhorn speaking with or yelling, giving commands to the person who may be inside that house. Do we know if that person has responded to the officers out there on the street? Any indication at all?
You know, right now we don't have a lot of information. I do want to mention my colleague Hope. She is working on the other aspect of this, the neighborhoods, and talking with witnesses. She just told me South Fulton confirms, or I should say Fulton County confirms, they are just an assisting agency at this time. So what it appears, Ron, to get back to your question about agencies involved, I believe what's happening here is likely Cobb County and Cobb County Police. They're probably the leading agencies on this since they were here, and they've called in for other agencies to assist for manpower reasons in case this thing goes throughout the night. So that's kind of where we're at. And I'll tell you, we got a picture. I'm not sure if you guys have shown it on air or on social or on the website, but you know, these homes are nice. The one that's surrounded, I mean, it's a 2-story, probably, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. That's a lot of room to cover, and that's a lot of area for these deputies to have to be on a lookout, because this suspect's going to have the upper hand on these officers who are on scene. If he's got a 2nd floor, he could be hiding behind any window, any kind of nook and cranny in this house, unless they have a layout of this home, which again, that takes time, and we don't know if there's anybody else in this house. So you know, as we speak, it's likely the suspect has a little bit of upper hand on these teams. Even if they do have multiple SWAT teams, that person has a clear sight of what's happening outside the house, unless maybe they've cut power and stuff like that. There's a lot of elements that go into this to make sure this is resolved peacefully.